Welcome, everybody. This is Seth and Matt with Market Peak, P-E-E-K. This is Tuesday, March 2nd. And before we get rocking, please hit the subscribe button over there and the like button somewhere in this area. Got a lot to cover today. We're going to be talking about GME, AMC. Kind of sputtered a little bit today, and that's maybe because RKT has taken off. SOS has some momentum as well. Matt's going to have his three charts. Matt over there. And before we get started, of course, we're not financial advisors. This is, just our opinion. None of this is meant to be taken as advice. Definitely do your own research, do your due diligence, all that stuff. So how's it going out there? All good?
Good, man.
Yeah? I hear you.
Another day in paradise. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's a very, interesting day in the market. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were telling me that you thought we would have, I think you said like a fake out dip or something like that was the terminology that you used, which is pretty, I feel like that's exactly what we had, just a little, throw some bears into the mix, and you expected us to kind of start moving forward from there. So far, so
get a massive rally like we had yesterday, you're going to expect a little bit of consolidation.
Sure. 100%. And that's exactly what happened. Not everything consolidated. The technology did, renewable energy did, actually took a little bit of a hit today. That's for sure. So, all right, with that, we'll go into the portfolio update. So here we are at 53.74. All told, I am, 330 percent for the year. I have an SOS call I bought in the money today for $7. I still have the SNDL call for next Friday for $250, which has plenty
rooting for you, man.
It has plenty of room to grow, and TRXC, which is actually 2 Fridays from now. Or actually, I guess 3 weeks from now, essentially. So plenty of room for that. Actually, TRXC was up like 14% today at one point, 14%. And then it just kind of fizzled out along with everything else. Sundial was actually up not too far today. Where did they finish off, by the way, just for the hell of it? So Sundial at one point, so they're up 2.22, and then another 7.72 afterwards. So they're up almost 3% today. So there's still a chance if they could do that every day. I feel like I could almost get there. And then I also have 85 shares, as you can see, of Rocket. So let's get into this whole Rocket thing going on. SOS, we can jump into that quickly. You did a little bit of looking up on it as well. Essentially, short sellers hit it. They had announced that they're buying new gaming rigs, and they're going to be working with a hydroelectric power plant. Short seller hit it, saying that the picture that you guys showed isn't the gaming rings that you said you bought. And I think they did did you see an aerial view of the so-called hydroelectric power plant that wasn't there, and somebody actually went there or something?
I didn't dig too deeply into the evidence.
Sure.
All I know is that there's controversy surrounding the veracity of these short reports.
Sure. So,
of course. there always is.
There always
no
is.
One likes short sellers.
And the thing is, most of the time, they're bullshit. Most of the time when these short sellers call stuff out, they're just, picking a right time to go in and create some sort of scathing report. Tesla got hit by one of all. Tesla, really? They all got hit. Nikola famously got hit by one, and they still haven't recovered. So it can happen.
That one had some legitimacy to it. To be fair,
it did. No, 100% it did. They're not all bad, but a lot of people are saying this one's just, kind of bogus. So if we go into SOS, we can see here. Let me refresh. And
short sellers are having a tough time right now.
Short sellers are having a tough time because you can't hide. That's the biggest issue. So let's go into the 5-day for SOS. So, all right. As you can see, so at one point, actually, let me back up just a little more so you can see where we were when we were at our high. All right, so as you can see, it got up to 1638. That was on February 16th. And then the scathing report came out, slowly started going down, and the SOS ended up having some sort of retort. It made a statement saying, we're going to fight these rigorous control, attacks on us and everything. And then slowly but surely, after it dipped down, it started kind of moving up, and it had a pretty big day the last couple days. Yesterday, it had actually jumped up quite a bit from a low of 447 the previous day, pre-market, it had jumped up like 40%. And then if we look at today, unfortunately, it was just, started off looking pretty good. And then unfortunately, it just, finished off kind of flat. So SOS, a lot of room to grow. The cool thing about it is actually up post-market right now, which is a little bit of a bonus. So if we look at the post-market on this, we can see that it's got, so it's up almost 4% post-market. So up 5%, almost like 4.5% for the day, which isn't too bad.
Mm-hmm. So do you think it's going to squeeze higher?
I think
we're for another big one.
So from where we ended up higher than where we ended up yesterday.
Yeah.
Really, really crucial, right? And there was a little bit of a push in the end to get us there. And at the same time, with where we are now at 706, there was movement yesterday as well. Post-market, it was closer to like 15%. So to be honest with you, what I think I'm going to do is probably hope there's a pre-market push, and then right when the bell opens, when that volatility is high, I'm going to go ahead and sell the $7 call.
Sell into it.
Yeah, and then
sell the rip
and see what happens. I think that's 100%. Like that's what I'm going to do, because we and I had this conversation about GME, and I was like, okay, so it's here right now.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, I'm going to freaking first thing in the morning, because I know it's going to drop. I'm going to sell it. I didn't freaking sell it. I got it for 72. Ended up selling it for like $1.06 after.
Yeah, don't forget to look at your phone for half an hour this time.
Yeah.
Well, I know you couldn't. You were doing something.
Well, I mean,
first 30 minutes can be a doozy.
It can. So it's funny because I make sure everything's set up. So at 9 o'clock, I wake up, get the family going. I know. So at 9 o'clock, I can take a peek, and then by 9:30, I'm ready. But yeah, that's if it dips tomorrow, then I guess I kind of have to wait to see if and when it rebounds. But if the news or the scathing report or the short report is true, obviously the stock is in trouble. If it's not, and I just feel like if it was that true, somebody else would have caught on. More people would have had their own opinions. By now, people could have flown there to see for themselves and stuff like that. So I just feel like long-term play on this is really good. And it's going to follow Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, it's going up, just like all the other. Riot follows Bitcoin. They all do. Bitcoin had a down day.
Here's the thing about short reports. If a short report is a publicity stunt meant to manipulate the price, in this case, SOS's overblown dramatic reaction to the short report was, I would say, a publicity stunt meant to manipulate price.
Sure.
Which also, in my mind, makes me think that we're in for a squeeze. We're in for some. I'm wondering what the IV on those weekly options are.
I'll tell you right now. My $9, if I remember correctly, the $9. Let me go back here.
Has IV blown out yet?
So here's the thing.
There, the 500.
No. Well, the 900 is 363, so it's pretty close. And the 7-1's like 290. 291 is the $7, is the one that's in the money. So the volatility is there, 100%. So let me ask you this: what percentage of these shorts would you say are generally going to be publicity stunts? I'm saying probably close to 75%.
I'd say all of them at this point.
Okay.
Because we know what happens when you deliver a legitimate gripe about poor business practices.
Sure.
You get buried.
Sure.
Right. So here's the thing: if market makers want to manipulate the price of a stock, they could probably just do it. So why come out with a short report?
Yeah.
Someone's working alongside someone else. Someone's already positioned ahead of that short report, right?
Do you think they buy the dips also? Just to
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I bet you they do.
Okay, I'm sure they do.
What? Wouldn't you?
I mean, it went down to like $4 or $5. I feel like that's plenty of shorting. I'm sure they probably shorted to like 6 or 7, made a ton of money, and we'll see.
I think you're right, though. I think people are selling GME and AMC and entering into early positions on SOS
and Rocket. So here's the thing on Rocket. Let's jump into this. So RKT, and this is actually the Detroit Free Press did a little report on their earnings. JCREINDL from the Detroit Free Press. This is actually came out on February 25th. This is the earnings report Quicken Loans parent company Rocket, and they own Quicken Loans, by the way. Rocket Companies reported Thursday that it did a record amount of mortgage business in 2020 during what was likely the most profitable year ever for the Detroit-based mortgage lender founded by Dan Gilbert. $15.7 billion in total revenue, more than triple its $5.1 billion in 2019. Its net income or profit skyrocketed from $9.4 billion to just under $1 billion the year before. So under $1 billion, just under $1 billion the year before, to $9.4 billion this year. That's insane. And here's the thing: a lot of this is people aren't going to like mortgage lenders and going into banks and offices and filling this stuff out. They're doing this stuff from home. Just for the fourth quarter, total revenue jumped from $4.7 billion up to $4.7 billion from $1.9 billion in 2019, and income grew to $2.8 billion from $0.8. So they went from $0.8 billion to $2.8 billion just in the last quarter. So it's just one of those situations where they exploded and just destroyed their earnings report, and they were. What's that?
Housing is exploding.
That's true too. 100%.
Definitely a seller's market right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you real estate ETF, you did a commercial real estate ETF and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah.
And it's up.
Just climbing up slowly but surely.
And no one would have thought commercial real estate would have done so well in this COVID environment.
It's true. No, I mean, here's the thing. I'm sure they do commercial too, Rocket. I mean, they do all kinds of real estate, but the owners own 95% of the shares. So that means... the owners and the board and all that. So there's not that many shares out there. So the fact that this company is like smashing reports and everything, and they're being short sold to the point of they're like $20, $25 a share. And so basically the CEO came out and said, hey, bring it on, short sellers. We're going to do a $1 billion buyback, and we're also going to do a $1.11 dividend that we're going to pay out one time on March 9th when a lot of these shorts expire. So he's like, go ahead, bring it on. We own 95% of the shares. We're a great company. We're killing it. If you want to short sell, go ahead and short sell. So that's exactly what's going on with these guys. This is not a stock you want to short in, the CEO said. That's Jay Farner. You might want to rethink your position if that's how you're playing it, he said. We've got a great track record and a lot of exciting things that we are working on. So it's funny because the one-time $1.11 dividend on March 9th, like basically he's just like, okay, go ahead and short. He can't say like buy our stock. Like he can, like that's just the most passive way he can. Well, not get in trouble.
He probably wouldn't get in trouble for some reason if he try to manipulate the price, try to talk up the price.
I mean, but he would get he might not get in trouble, but I'm sure he'd have a talking to. But still, it's just the most beautiful way to combat that. So if you own a share, let's say you own 10,000 shares, you're going to get $11,100 on March 9th. And that also makes it more expensive for the short sellers. So let's say they short at 6, they short at 7. Well, that's a little bit low. But let's say they short at whatever, you can add just a little bit more to that as well. So this is, this seems to be what's going on right now. And that's probably why if you look at AMC over here, you look at GME. Oh, wait, that's Rocket still. So yeah, GME for the day. Actually, let's get the 5-day. So as you can see, flattened out. It's been slowly climbing up, though. I got to say, it has been slowly climbing up. If you look at the 5-day, and the same thing.
Looks like there's some accumulation there.
There is. I mean, people are seeing support, and obviously this is our opinion, but people are seeing support. And like, okay, this is our new low. Let's ride it up. And if you look at AMC, the 5-day, similar situation. Had a really nice pop up to 1124-ish, 1125. And lately has been moving up, but it did lose some ground. I feel like more AMC people are jumping out to get into Rocket. But we'll see what happens.
Here's the thing. So AMC rallied hard because investors knew in the back of their mind that the Federal Reserve is going to backstop high yield debt.
Okay.
Right. Now that we're in recovery, that trade might slowly come off the table. Right. People might be done with AMC. What I have to say about,
like I said, I'm dying to go to the movies.
Yeah. No, the movies are great, but let's face it, there's competition now.
Yeah.
And the competition 100%. Has gained an even bigger foothold.
And not to mention other movie theater companies.
Yeah. So if you think about it, mortgages, the 30-year is going to start creeping back up. I'm sure it already has.
Which is great for rocket companies.
Rocket's got to try and rally their stock price as high as possible before that starts to happen and before the market starts to price in a potential decrease in earnings, which could happen pretty soon. I mean, the market's always forward looking.
Because higher interest rates,
that being said,
less people are getting houses, right?
Yeah, well, so I mean, there probably isn't that direct correlation, but it will negatively impact Rocket's business. I can tell you that, right? Like less refis, less cash refis, more stringent lending standards too might come, especially with Democrats in office right now if they want to come in and regulate. But anyway, all that being said, pretty sure we're in for a nice short squeeze. I will say, though, that now that the news cycle is really picking up on all this stuff with Rocket,
it didn't take long.
You might want to
one day
be cautious, when buying options. I do think the short squeeze is going to happen, but it might not happen immediately. I would at least buy monthly dated options and with a focus on that options expiration on March 19th, I believe is what it is. Yeah, that's when they're going to decide, okay, do we dump this ahead? Do we manipulate the price higher or lower to get a desired outcome? That's when the action's really going to, in my opinion.
Are you saying March 9th when the dividend comes out and the expiration? Is that what you're saying? Or
March 19th. So options expiration, third Friday of every month is just a big focal point.
I got you.
For the options
I got you. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not touching. I mean, when it gets crazy, I might do a put, but I'm not getting calls on the way up. I'm just going to buy shares. I mean, you saw, I got 85 shares. That's all I'm going to do.
You can never lose with shares.
No. And here's the thing. I mean, based on what I just laid out as far as their earnings, I mean, how could they not be worth $40 a share when 95% of the shares aren't even available? Like, come on. Like, this seems like a no-brainer with this company. And they just started. Like, they just became public last year. So it's just, I don't know. It just seems like basically the CEO's like, we're killing it. These shorters are killing us. Bring it on. We're going to take you down. And the rest of the people.
RKT.
And everyone's like, we're in.
Yeah. RKT is a huge meme stock in Wall Street bets.
Oh, for sure. I mean, here's the thing. So
everyone's looking at it.
This morning, I get on Wall Street bets. And like everyone's talking about, everyone's RKT. I'm like, all right, cool. RKT, rock and roll. And then like 11 o'clock, it's like RKT. And then I'm looking at the SOS on Stock Twips. It's like RKT. I'm like, all right, let me take a look. And I'm like, okay, it's up. Let me just wait a little bit to make sure this is real. And it just starts jumping. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's do it. All right, so we're going to go ahead. Let me get out our favorite background chart. This is going to be the VIX for our 5 conspiracy theories. So 5 conspiracy theories around the stock market. I just always like to have the VIX in there. That's our house.
It's a fear gauge.
Yeah, it's our house chart. So top 5 conspiracy theories. So number 1, and we put these out just because, a lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of people pointing fingers. We just talked about how this whole thing with the short sellers. I mean, you can consider that a conspiracy theory in and of itself. Just thought it'd be nice to come out with some and kind of have a little bit of a chat about it. So number 1, order books controlled with fake or buy-sell orders. So please.
So every once in a while, particularly around Friday market close hours, you'll start to see massive buy or sell orders just materialize in the order book. Massive orders.
And then they disappear.
And then they suddenly disappear. They just get sold. So psychologically, when you see a massive order, right, to buy, you want to get in. You're thinking the price is going to go higher, right?
Or you think I'm already in. Oh my God, the price is going to go higher. Either way.
Stay in. Buy more. Yeah.
Sure.
But wait a second, it's manipulation. And it happens every single Friday. The more popular the stock, the higher the likelihood that it'll happen. And it's just blatant manipulation.
Pretty much. I wonder how do they, I mean, obviously they must have sophisticated software because they time it so perfectly. You see that
trader bots,
100,000 shares popping up and then poof. And then you see the stock and it didn't move. And
Crypto is notorious.
Big time. I remember 3 years ago, back in 2017 when you and I were talking, or 16, talking a lot about crypto. Yeah. And we were talking about that back then for sure. So they're not fake is basically what you're saying. They're real people with sophisticated software that are manipulating it. But they're not, phantom shares, right? Phantom trades.
Yeah. They have a plan.
Yes. 100%.
They want to stuff that trade.
And that's exactly what happens. It's annoying. I watch it, dude. I'm just like, this is not going through. I mean, watch it go up. I'm like, go ahead, waste our time. All right, number 2, coordinated price manipulation on or around options expiration dates. So when you say coordinated, are you saying like the companies with the pumpers or something like that? Market makers,
hedge funds, anyone with leverage.
Okay.
Who can buy a lot of options.
Sure.
Is in there manipulating the strike price, because a lot of these institutional investors sell deal options.
Yeah.
And when you're the seller, you have inside information.
Sure.
Right. You can see the data. You can see whether or not a strike price is crowded, whether or not a strike price is so popular, has so much attention from the retail investment community, that if it will make or break a market.
Yeah.
Right. So this happens a lot with meme stocks, running up into that final hour of, that Friday close.
Power hour.
Yeah. Power hour. Right. Your options are about to expire. You're in the money. You're excited. You're just going to let it ride. And then suddenly, right before, at like 3:58, right before your expiration date, the price changes and you're out of the money.
AMC, prime example.
All the time. Sometimes by as little as a few cents.
AMC 801.
So you saw an example of.
I watched it happen. I watched it.
Yeah.
I just like the last 5 minutes. So, I mean, it was like covering, it was like 8:10 and this and that. Here, well, I mean, I got the freaking chart here. Let's just pull it up. Which one is AMC?
A big even number like $8 is bound to have a lot of open interest.
Of course. Well, I mean, yeah.
There are going to be a lot of contracts liquid.
I mean, especially when you're talking about a stock that's only $8. That $8 mark is going to be, pretty important. So here we go. Let's see. We're talking on Friday. There we go. All right. So yeah, if we look here, and you can see it was a battle right around this mark right here, 788, 789 at 2:30, and then it had gone up to 863. And then by, 3 o'clock, you could see it start to, 4 o'clock, you can see it start to kind of dwindle down, and then it dips down to 790 and all, literally the last minute, 791. Yep. And then all of a sudden it finishes at 801. 801. Literally,
so you had a bunch of people try and dump their contracts, and then in a mad frenzy try and buy the week out.
You think so?
It's probably what happened.
Sure, that makes sense.
All I know is that someone made a lot of money, and it probably wasn't.
And somebody lost a lot of money.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Big time. Well, hopefully
that happens all the time.
Hopefully the shorters, all you short hedgies out there, hopefully you guys suffered the most on that and not us retail folk. All right.
You shouldn't be allowed to pin a price above or below a popular strike price. I mean, that should be illegal, but then again, it's free market.
All right, number 3, stock market bubble engineered by inflation-sensitive Fed.
All right, so basically, the Federal Reserve right now is looking at inflation. They're looking at the 10-year Treasury rates backing off, and they're getting a little concerned. Obviously, inflation reduces your buying power,
sure,
which could be a problem for the economy. What the Fed wants to do right now is they want to make sure that no one starts diving into the bond market, because right now, the 10-year rate on Treasuries is starting to look appealing to some big money investors.
Sure.
For some people who are they think the stock market's going to crash, they want a safe haven, dive into bonds that's a guaranteed return no matter what over the duration, right?
Maybe not much
Reserve,
of one, but a return nonetheless.
But that's the thing. It's guaranteed. If you're a money manager and
Sure.
you have, investors, you have to have allocated a certain
100%.
portion. So the Federal Reserve right now wants to pump up the stock market because they want to keep people away from bonds. Because once people start looking at bonds, right, and that rotation occurs, the stock market is going to get hit.
Sure.
So if the stock market's going up 20, 30% a year, there's just limitless money-making opportunities, particularly in small caps right now. It's just a fun place to be.
Sure.
People are going to stay away from bonds.
Yeah.
Right? If the Fed can keep everyone's focus lasered on the stock market, inflation won't be a huge problem because inflation's coming. If we get above that 3% mark, we're going to be really tempted to go into bonds. But again, what is 3% against 30%
on the stock market? Yeah.
And then you have dividends.
Sure.
Yeah. But what generally you don't want the 10-year rate going above the dividend of the S&P.
Yeah.
When that happens, you're going to have a little bit of churn in the market.
Sure. We're not there yet. But I mean, as long as we keep loaning out free money, it's only a matter of time. That's for sure. All right.
Yeah. Let's go back for a second and talk about the American economy. It is a consumer spending driven economy right now. We're services based. We don't export a lot.
Sure.
So we got to keep people spending, right? Which means people have to have buying power, which means that the big spenders, baby boomers, people with 401ks need to have a stock market that makes them feel comfortable enough to go out and spend, and especially on those big ticket items, refrigerator, vacation, right?
Refrigerator. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm my 70s, right, and I'm planning a big vacation, say I'm going on a road trip, see the Grand Canyon, whatever the place I haven't been yet, and the stock market crashes, I ain't doing that.
Sure.
I'm going to sit on my money, and that's what we don't want right now. We don't want the economy to freeze up. We want lending to stay liquid. We want people spending as much as possible. And it sounds crazy, but you keep the average American spending, you keep the stock market high, and it's a self-reinforcing loop.
Bonds definitely
crazy,
lock the money away. That's for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
You just don't want people holding cash.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people holding cash right now.
Waiting for the next dip.
Yeah.
Waiting for that next dip, which is coming. All right. Fed secret mandate, protect retirement accounts. I mean, this is an interesting one. That's for sure. I can't, I could see it, but at the same time, it'd be hard to see how they can protect that to a degree. The Enron, you talking like, even like when stuff like Enron comes around, stuff like that, there's obviously, and stuff like that, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. I think they're just, like I said, encouraging all these sector bubbles.
Sure.
Right. They want to blow up the stock market bubble as much as possible because they have a plan for when it crashes.
Yeah. And
they're going to engineer the crash. And the way they're going to engineer it is they're going to incrementally raise rates.
Yep. Because the first time they do, that's the first, that's going to be probably at least a 5% dip, I would think, the first time they decide to do that. 100%.
It might be crazy, but they might have already guided the market down to a point where, that won't even matter.
Sure.
Because if you think about it, if they raise rates, banks are going to rally very hard.
Yep.
So, I mean, the money is going to go somewhere else.
Sure.
Yeah,
100%. All right. Number 5, the Fed works alongside American financial institutions to help drive American stock prices higher. I mean, if you want to like allow that, if you want to make that happen, just, relax some of the trading laws. That would be very, very easy to do, or give, maybe like a get out of jail free card here and there, a little look the other way type of situation. I could see how at times in history that might have happened. I don't know how much we need, or that could possibly be something that would be occurring now.
Yeah, I think it's just within everyone's best interest to have the American stock market high right now. I mean, look at the yield you're getting.
Yeah.
Right. You're making everyone happy. You're keeping the average American spending, which keeps the economy afloat. But also, if you scope out a little bit beyond that, you've got a weak dollar against a rising Chinese currency, against a rising Russian currency. Russia and China own more commodities than anyone in the world.
Yeah.
You don't want commodities to blow up.
Sure.
So right now, you want to basically give people no other option but to invest in the American stock market.
Yeah.
Which is what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the more people, the more of our foreign adversaries, maybe not adversaries, but the more people who would benefit from a stock market crashing in America, um, the more short they get on the market, the higher the market's going to go. And that's partially a result of the Federal Reserve working alongside financial institutions like BlackRock, private equity firms,
Sure.
to buy into these ETFs and keep, because when you buy an ETF, you keep every company in that ETF
Yeah.
afloat.
Sure. That makes sense.
I mean, there's a simple mechanism, and and you keep everyone's retirement accounts afloat.
Sure. That's true
So
too.
like that's why I think we're just gonna grind higher,
All right.
grind higher.
I mean, I feel like, this entire list, I could see any one of them possibly happening except for the fake buy sell orders. I that one is like there's just no way that stuff can get like slipped in there. I mean, it's just the technicalities behind that are just a little bit too ridiculous. But the rest of them, I feel like, any one of them could possibly, slip through the cracks here and there. That's for sure. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, any last minute thoughts before we move into everyone's favorite segment?
No.
All right. Well, 3 charts with Matt. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this is the month we have out in front of us. Actually, no, this is the month right here. But I'm going to go ahead and pull out the 5-day. So we had the bounce, as you were saying we probably would. And then you thought Monday would be pretty big, which it was. You called for the little mini sell-off on Tuesday, which had happened. We finished at 24.1 to 1% today.
Above support.
Yep.
But I'm anticipating the VIX to continue to get crushed.
Sure.
That being said, it wouldn't surprise me given all the turmoil around rates if we got another spike. But look, when I talk about the VIX, I may make like short-term predictions, but what I'm convicted in is my long-term bet, or like intermediate-term bet over the next 6 months to a year, that the VIX just gets obliterated.
Sure.
I mean, people just, if it's a fear gauge, people aren't super afraid.
Sure.
I mean, a 5% dip tomorrow would be bad, but would I be super confident that it gets bought up? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Enough for me to buy the dip? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, people are in that mode. They're just in the buy the dip mode.
They really, it's one of those things that you see all the time. Like, Wall Street bets and stock tweets like, buy the dip, I'm waiting for the next dip and I'm in. So it's true. You're absolutely right.
And they're making money.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you want to make money and you want to take the path of least resistance, buying the dip is probably the easiest, way to start moving forward, The
problem is it takes balls and it takes conviction, and you have to really know a little bit about technical analysis. You have to be able to look at a chart and, make your determination based on moving averages and support. Sure. And things like that. It's hard buying the dip. You do have to have balls. Hard. You're right. Because it's going up and all of a sudden it's tanking. Like, wait a minute, it's tanking. Why would I buy now? But, if once again, we've talked about this, if you're convicted, if you do your D squared, if you're convicted and you follow through, you like that? I just thought I'd throw that in there. D squared, man.
I'm
stealing that.
Do the D squared, man. And if you're convicted, then you should have no problem getting in where the dip is because you already have faith in what it's going to do. All right, so we'll save that. We'll come back to this for the predictions. Let's jump into your next one, which is U. This is one you talked about a couple weeks ago. Basically, uranium. And as you can see, they just crushed it. This is the 5-day. I'll bring up the day, though. And you can see after hours, it jumped quite a bit. There's a pretty big mover. So go for it.
So bottom line on uranium is that there isn't enough supply. And that's the bottom line. The Fukushima reactor disaster a few years ago scared a lot of people out of the market. It actually shut down a lot of domestic uranium producers who haven't ramped back up their operations yet. The spot price of uranium, around $26, is moving up. And the higher it goes, the more likely it is that we see these dramatic jumps in these uranium miners and explorers.
Sure.
Because it's just been, the entire space has been scraped out completely. Just taken to Thunderdome, taken out the woodshed and shot 5 times.
Sure. Old Yeller.
And Yeah, old Yeller, classic.
Sure.
So supply, and on the other side, there's increasing demand. China is really investing heavily in nuclear energy right now.
It's interesting. So
uranium's got to come somewhere.
One of the reasons it went up is, and this is, if you look it up, you'll see it. Actually, here, let me do this. I'll just go ahead and bring this over to you guys. So as you can see here, this is Yahoo Finance. Neo Performance Materials and Energy Fuels launch a rare earth production initiative. So this is essentially one of the biggest issues with rare earth metals is that China controls a lot of them. There are some here in America, but if China really wanted to just go ahead and make things difficult for the world, all China would really have to do is, essentially to say we're not going to share our rare earth metals. So we have some here, we have some in Europe, and that's exactly what they're going to be focusing on. They really want to be focused on, mining for these rare earth metals as well. And that's what precipitated this specific uptick today.
Interesting.
Yeah, which makes it even more attractive.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to infer that, the supply issue in uranium is what caused a 25% spike.
Sure. Absolutely. No.
I had no idea why it went up.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely
telling me.
So it's pretty. It's one of those ones that honestly, now that they got the rare earth metals thing in there, I feel like it would be one that I might want to look into for my IRA, just because rare earth metals is exactly where everything is going. When we have issues with a lot of the microchips and stuff like that, a lot of the issues is rare earth metals as well. Batteries, I mean, they're just all over the place. So it's definitely a bullish situation going on with them, I would say.
That ties into the 5G revolution. Maybe we should do an episode on that in 5G, because there are a lot of smaller tech companies right now who are supplying that space with parts and who have almost a monopoly on their own little niche market.
Cool. So next we're going to move into natural shrimp, SHMP. This is one of our favorites. We've been following this since Matt and I have been following this since before we started this channel.
SHMP.
Yeah, it's just, you could watch we've talked about it a couple times. It's one of those ones that just has great growth, very, very steady. They have new technology, and they just recently passed a really important inspection, which enables them to move on to the next stage. They grow shrimp. They found ways of doing it all natural, and it was one of the few stocks that went up today as far as like the day and then post market. It's up almost 4% today. Yeah, so go for it.
Yeah, 4% is a pretty nice move.
It's pretty.
So,
yeah.
I'm liking the 6-month chart. It looks like we're painting a pretty obvious bull flag. Looks like we are building at a reasonable pace, price support at that 85 cents level.
Sure.
Which is what we'll need to go to $1. I'd expect maybe a little bit of selling once we hit that big even, maybe a little before like 98, 99 cents. Maybe I'd sell, then reload. But at 80 something cents, or what's it at right now?
Right now it is at 71.85.
71. Okay, so it took a little correction.
Sure.
I think it's a steal. Based on what I know about their technology.
Here's the thing. So we talked about this. You and I talked about this one not that long ago. And I had mentioned how everything's going crazy and shrimp just holds firm and didn't lose. And you said one of the reasons is not a lot of people are trading it, which just means it's a really, really good time to get in. And it's not a lot of people know about this stock. SHMP, take a look, do your research.
Get in.
Who doesn't like shrimp? I mean, come on.
Financial advice.
Yeah, I mean, just do it. It's 71 cents right now. It's just, if you guys go back to, I think it's a couple weeks ago, 5 reasons you're losing money in the stock market. We did a piece on SHMP. It's towards the end. Take a look at it. Just get in. I mean, seriously. I mean, things can go wrong for sure. Nothing's a sure thing, but this is one.
This is not financial advice.
This is a sleeper though. This is one of those stocks that, I mean, who thinks about investing in shrimp farming? Like seriously. But if people can get into some of these other crazy stocks out there, it's 71 cents, 72 cents. It's a great time to get in. Even, if you look at the 1 month, it's got really nice support around this area. So that's pretty much all we got. Any thoughts? So on the VIX, do you think up or down? VIX up or down? Here we go.
Don't put me on the spot. I think, again, it depends on whether or not we break above or below this support channel.
Sure.
That 19.5 to 21.5 support channel. And I mean, I got to see us close some daily candles below or above. But my gut instinct tells me that over the next couple of weeks, the VIX is going to head lower.
I think so too. I think, well, you had said that you expect a little pop on Monday, little mini dip, fake out dip on Tuesday, and then the stock market's going to just keep going up. So
yeah, we had a manic Monday, turnaround Tuesday. Wednesdays are typically strong. Thursdays, we normally get a little bit of chop, some consolidation, and then Fridays typically finish pretty strong.
Sure. So
every once in a while, they throw you a little curveball, but.
So I expect SOS to be up. I expect Rocket to be up. I mean, Rocket should be up even if it's not being squeezed with. I mean, is it safe to say, do you feel as if they weren't being shorted, they would be doing much better? Because with the amazing report that they had, it's just how could they not be trading higher? Especially when there's not that many shorts or stock, it's not that much stock available.
Well, see, keep in mind that ticker is very liquid.
Sure.
And there's been a lot of trading around those big even strike prices.
Sure.
It's a heavily option stock. So, I mean, there's incentive for market makers to, in my opinion, suppress the price a little bit ahead of what could be a massive short squeeze, which is what I predict is going to happen.
Sure. And you're thinking by March 19th for that?
Honestly, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'll say it. I think by March 19th, we'll get a short squeeze in that stock. Absolutely.
So Rocket.
Now,
go ahead.
The trick is timing your options plays. I think, shares is definitely the safe bet, but if you want to get into options, you have to pay attention to that IV. But you can't lose by buying a monthly strike price.
Sure.
Buy monthly, buy at March 19th date. And scale in. If you have some negative carry, the IV goes down a little bit. Don't get shaken down because this thing is going to go higher, in my opinion.
And SOS, you feel the same? SOS is going to go higher?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Something weird is happening with the crypto market right now. It looks like we're consolidating. I personally think Bitcoin is going to touch down on support at maybe like a 38,000 level.
Sure.
And once that happens, then I would be interested in SOS.
I got you.
Not that I'm not suggesting it moves in tandem with BTC.
I mean, it kind of is.
Something strange.
There's definitely a correlation there. There's definitely a correlation. I mean, there's been a lot more announcements about people or companies or entities that are going to be investing in Bitcoin. Yeah, I agree. I think Rocket's going up. I think SOS is going up. AMC. Honestly, I feel like people are jumping ship on AMC to get into Rocket and GME. GME seems to have found support in that $110, $120 range. So I expect that if you look at the chart on that, you look at the 5-day, you look at the month, like more recently, it's just slowly trending up. So if everything goes as planned, we should see some big booms with both of those. So any last minute thoughts?
I'll say that if there's one thing I've learned trading over the past year, it's that meme stocks are typically worth the squeeze.
Sure. Just don't hang on too long.
Yeah, get in and out there. Don't take your family out to breakfast and not look at your phone for the first time.
I mean, Matt can tell you just in the last month, there's at least $4,000, like $4,000 losses I had by just not getting out at the right time. So, I mean, it's really, really good advice for sure. All right, so leave us a comment, please, with your thoughts. What you liked, what you didn't like, agree with, don't agree with. Once again, please spank the like button and subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll be back on Friday with a wrap up of the week, and we'll see how things go. Boom.